All right, back with the Malzberg. All right, back with the Malzberg panel, ladies and gentlemen. Whereas one thing is for certain, it's never boring. The host of the Christopher Hahn Show is with us, Christopher Hahn, and the president of the Tripp Scott law firm, Edward Pozzuoli. All right, let's focus on the Middle East. Christopher, we are here with the president of the United States, who, as Israel's being attacked by Hamas, is still supporting a unity government consisting of Hamas, financially and otherwise, and wrote an op-ed in an Israeli newspaper yesterday on the eve of the missile exchanges here, the attacks by Hamas and raining down on Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, and Israel's retaliation and attempt to stifle those attacks, where the president says that Mahmoud Abbas is a true partner for peace. Again, maybe he should stick to playing pool and drinking beer.
Well, I've parted ways with the president on Israel many a time, and I'm parting ways on a lot of what you just said there. I am dubious on Hamas, on anything about Hamas. I don't believe that they have the best intentions in mind. I think Israel should be able to do whatever it has to do to defend itself, and that's where I stand on it. And I think that that's the right place to be right now. I think that we as Americans have to stand by our one true ally in the Middle East, and that is the state of Israel.
All right, Edward.
Well, look, we should stand by our true ally. I'm glad to hear Chris say that. I mean, to be honest, this is to hold Hamas up with the same moral equivalency as Israel is absolutely a divergent from 40 years or 50 years or 60 years of American policy. And this president, again, this goes back to the same, we discussed the border issue. That was predictable, and this is almost as predictable. When you have the United States policy soften with respect to its support of Israel and begin to put Hamas and others like them in the region on the same moral equivalency as Israel, and you treat them the same, in fact, maybe you treat them even better, then you get this result. And the idea of putting, not mentioned, by the way, in the statement, Benjamin Netanyahu wasn't bestowed the
mentioned. No, he wasn't mentioned at all.
Of the great compliment of being calm and inside of the Obama editorial. I find that just fascinating and unbelievable.
Yeah. Hey, Christopher, first of all, I want to apologize for the last segment, and I'm doing this on my own volition, totally. As much as I disagreed with you and about the Nazi analogy, I should not have said to shut up. You're my guest, and that was inappropriate.
Oh, Steve, come on.
No, I just want to go on the record. I just want to go on the record with that, again, on my own volition. But I do want to ask you about Hillary has lost 11 points in her approval since she undertook her book tour, and this is among Democratic primary voters, Quinnipiac. She have a problem?
No, she doesn't have a problem. I think Hillary is going to be the nominee of the Democratic Party. I think she's going to be the president of the United States, and I don't see her getting any serious challenge from the left. There's been a lot of talk about maybe Elizabeth Warren or somebody else getting in on the left. I don't see that happening. I think that what you're going to have here, the only way she doesn't become the Democratic nominee is if she chooses not to seek the nomination. I don't think she's going to make the same mistakes she made in '08. I think she's going to run a very hard campaign. She'll take anybody who challenges her very seriously, and I think she'll be the nominee, and she should be. I think she should be, and she'll be a great president of the United States.
I just hope that she could get the next mortgage without much trouble. That's all I hope. Hey, Christopher Hahn.
The third house mortgage might be a stretch.
All right, Christopher Hahn and Edward Pozzuoli, thank you both for being on the panel today. Appreciate it very much.
Guys.
All right, folks, we'll be back with more of the Steve Malzberg Show. And of course, coming up right after this, we're going to have America's Moment, taking a look back at Operation Nickelgrass. But after that, we come back, we're going to have a very special interview that you're going to want to see, and it is with Caroline Glick, who's going to bring us up to date on the Middle East. Don't go away.
On October 6, 1973, while the nation of Israel observed Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the year for Jews, the combined military forces of Egypt and Syria launched a simultaneous and surprise attack on Israel's southern and northern borders. Within days, the Israeli army found itself in retreat, losing a third of its equipment and outnumbered by the enemy 3-1.
As he could not believe, he said, we cannot stop them.
Recognizing their very existence was at stake, President Nixon moved quickly to resupply our ally Israel and their besieged army. With an around-the-clock airlift of U.S. military support, the tide of battle shifted, and soon the Israeli armies were advancing into both Syria and Egypt, with Israeli General Ariel Sharon's tanks threatening Egypt's Third Army with annihilation. The Soviet Union, who were supporting the Arab armies, quickly called upon President Nixon to stop the Israelis' advance or risk a larger war. The president intervened, saved the Egyptian army, and then used the opportunity to convince Egypt's President Anwar Sadat to seek a peaceful solution to a conflict that had plagued the region for decades.